Welcome to UALR Live Wire. Tonight we sit down with UALR's very own celebrated upcoming filmmaker, Madeline Reagan, about her upcoming short film, Black Fathoms. We'll also cover a recent disturbing wave of toddler slaughters in the U.S. But first, shoppers can now take advantage of Walmart's car seat recycling program rolled out by the company to compete with Target's similar program. Shoppers can start by stopping by September 16th to trade in their car seats and get a $30 Walmart gift card. And now for the news. The Tennessee Titans made a unique entrance to their Sunday night match against the Indianapolis Colts when their pyrotechnic equipment malfunctioned and caught fire on the field.
Pyrotechnic machine here in Nashville. The grounds crew immediately jumped on it. This was the scene just a couple of seconds ago. The fire, thankfully, is out. Still a little bit of smoke on that Tennessee sideline. We will get an update, but looks like he's in scoring defense. There's a little shovel pass. It is Ebron for the Indianapolis touchdown. March, let the rest of our CBS crew here from Nissan Stadium. Mariota play action to the end zone. It's caught for the touchdown. And some trickery. It's David Quessenberry. Retooling this team. Here's Brissett to the end zone. It is caught for the Colts touchdown. Paris Campbell.
Colts that were on fire that week, overcoming their recent loss of Andrew Luck and winning the game 19-17. Next, a troubling study by the Center for Disease Control and Prevention has found a high percentage of veterinarians suffering suicidal thoughts. Here's the clip.
I might go from an exam room and be working with a puppy or a kitten to walking next door and doing a euthanasia, and that's a huge mental swing.
From the beginning of her career as a veterinarian, Dr. Jennifer Quammen says suicide is an issue widely talked about amongst her profession. 1 in 6 is what's commonly referred to as 1 in 6 practicing veterinarians, vet students, or even technicians have contemplated suicide within the last year. The Centers for Disease Control and Prevention found male vets are 2.1 times as likely, and females 3.5 times as likely to die by suicide compared with the general population. And this is especially concerning as more than 60% of vets are women.
We talk about euthanasia, we guide people toward it, we physically deliver it. And so at one point when you're in a down place yourself, why would you not naturally think, oh, if I'm counseling a client that's an okay thing, that I can see this as a way out as well.
Things like pricey medical school debt, but getting paid less than half of a typical physician or surgeon, and a tendency to isolate themselves makes veterinary one of the top professions at risk for suicide.
Another troubling trend that's gripping the nation, a story you can't blow off.
Good, Dallas. You need to be coughing. That's good.
Painful to listen to.
About 3 months.
Every single day.
I thought I was invincible.
Up until a few days ago. That's how often 17-year-old Dallas Pantese says he was vaping.
And I came home one day, and I walked in my older sister's room, and she was vaping, and she asked me if I wanted to try it. I just didn't stop, and I got addicted to it and didn't realize I was addicted to it, and so I'm laying in a hospital bed and told I had holes in my lungs.
Pantese says he did it to fit in.
I was the cool kid because I vaped, and I mean, look at me now. I'm sitting in a hospital with holes in my lungs. I mean, that's not really cool to me.
I didn't think he was juuling at all. That was not something he was ever interested in, so it was a surprise.
There are going to be a lot of people who don't care about this, or there are going to be a lot of people who are watching and they're going to pass judgment on a 17-year-old who now is in the hospital because he was doing something he wasn't supposed to be. What do you want those people to know?
First, I'd like them to know how serious it is, because when you know it's serious, then you take it seriously and you don't blow it off like, oh, well, that's kids being kids, which is part of how I reacted. And I wish I had known I would not have reacted in that way. You know, if I saw my kids playing with guns, I would, no, this stops instantly. We're going to have to sit down, we're going to get through this, and there's going to be no possibility. This is like playing with guns. I would not allow it. I would do something, but I didn't know. And because I didn't know, I didn't react.
Next up, after our commercial break, we sit down with Madeline Reagan and discuss her incredible new film, Black Fathoms.
Listen, you're my friend.
I noticed you haven't really been yourself recently.
Yeah, I feel like something's up.
How are you?
Are you okay?
Is there anything you want to talk about?
I just want to know how you're feeling.
And listen, even if you don't know what to say, I'm here to talk.
No matter what you're going through,
I just want you to know I'm here.
I've got your back. When you want to talk, I'm here.
So there you are, shuffling through a stack of resumes and you come to mine. This is it, first impression, my way in. But can my resume show you how I truly stand out? Like that I was studying, going to night school while working 2 jobs just to help my parents pay for groceries. Or being the first one to always step up. No, that's something you just can't put on paper. Look beyond the resume and discover new ways to develop great talent that is dedicated, hardworking, and determined like me.
Are you struggling with money? Do you need your taxes done? Well, come on down to Tax Junkie.
Tax Junkie!
Hi, I'm DQ with Tax Junkie. We offer a friendly face and easy to understand service. You don't even need your W-2s, just your latest check stub, and we'll take it from there.
Tax Junkie!
Junkie!
Last year, we
Junkie!
kept over 40 people from
Junkie!
relapsing into debt.
See on page 4 that the projections need to be tornado next Thursday.
Seriously? Thursday? Can't do that.
This is really inconvenient.
I have yoga that day. I have no time for this. So, I can't do Thursday, but I can do Friday.
Disasters don't plan ahead. You can. Talk to your loved ones about how you're going to be ready in an emergency. Don't wait. Communicate.
The best thing that happens to me every day at work is seeing my babies, my students. There were several students that I had that were not able to read. That was a burden on my heart. A couple of years ago, I enrolled back in UALR in their graduate program for reading. The program is helping me understand different assessments that I can give them. That program is enabling me to actually make a difference.
And now, the moment many of you have been waiting for. It's time to sit down with Madeline Reagan and discuss her new film, Black Fathoms. Let's take a look.
Is this a river?
I'm gonna get us out of here.
Hello, Madeline. How are you today?
Willie? It's Willie.
That
right?
is correct.
It's Willie. Can I call you William?
Absolutely not. I prefer Willie. Thank you very much.
Okay. Well, Willie, I'm doing absolutely incredible. How are you?
I'm fine. Thanks for asking. So, tell the viewers a little bit about you.
Well, I'm a senior here at UALR, and I am majoring in motion picture.
Okay.
Yep.
So, you have a film called Black Fathoms. Why don't you tell us a little bit about it?
So, Black Fathoms is a psychological thriller about a young couple who travel to a remote river to try out their new lifestyle of living in a van that they have converted into their home. And they soon find out they're not alone.
Sounds like a pretty interesting film.
Yes.
So, what was your process for making Black Fathoms?
So Black Fathoms, I started it probably in November with coming up with the idea and everything, and the script was finalized towards the beginning of February of 2019. And so after that, I just started trying to figure out what the next step was, and so crowdfunding and being able to fund the film itself was huge. So I used Kickstarter to do that, and I had 28 days to raise $2,000, and it was very stressful, but we made it.
I can imagine that it was stressful. So,
Very stressful.
So, how long did it take you to actually get the $2,000 funded for Black Fathoms?
So what usually happens with Kickstarters is you start your campaign, you launch it, it's live, everyone's super excited, you get to put it on all of your social media, and within the first like 5 hours you think, oh, this is incredible, like we're gonna get this is no big deal. And so you get a ton of contributions in on the first day, and then the second day happens, and it's just like, oh, we have not made it yet, and we still have almost like 30 days to go, and we're not even like a fourth of the way there. And so it stops a lot towards the middle of it. But then at the end, you know, it's a bunch of adrenaline. You're just like, oh, we're 3/4 of the way there. We're almost there. Everyone, please contribute whatever you can. If you don't, we're not going to be able to make the film, and that's just not going to happen. We have to make this film. And so towards the end, we were really pushing for it, but we made it on the last day.
On the last day? Huh?
Yes, on the last day.
That's incredible. How did it feel to actually have it done on the very last day?
It was very humbling. It was a very real experience. All of a sudden, the film was real to me. Like before, it was kind of just like, yeah, like an idea and stuff, and you know, we're working on the script, but it was real at that moment, and we were going to make it, and we secured locations, and we secured the actors, catering, everyone, and we were about to rock and roll with it.
Nice. So what was your inspiration for the film?
So for Black Fathoms, I'm really have always been interested in alternative lifestyles. And my dad and little brothers are whitewater kayakers, and they converted their own van, and they go to rivers all over the U.S. to different competitions and stuff, and they will literally live in the van for weeks at a time. And I've just loved the freedom that allows you to live that type of lifestyle. So it's always been really interesting to me, and I love horror films and like the different elements of suspense that you can add to that. So combining both of those just seemed like a really cool idea.
Nice. So where did you film Black Fathoms at?
So for some of the scenes we stayed here in Little Rock, but for the majority of the movie we were in Mena, Arkansas, which is 3.5 hours away in the middle of nowhere. And not only is it in the middle of nowhere, we went a little bit past Mena to just this random farm about 1 hour and 15 minutes away from any type of civilization. No cell service, no Wi-Fi. We were completely secluded.
Okay. So did you have any complications while you were making the film?
Yes. Within the first 5 hours of filming, we found out that all of our sound equipment did not work. And so I had to come to the realization really quick that the entire film was going to have to be ADR'd, and with no location sound whatsoever. So that was a little stressful, but at the same time, it was a good thing because I could control everything that I wanted to for the sound by doing it that way. But
it sounded great from the trailer that we saw. So
thank you.
Kudos to you on that one. Did you guys have a good time out there in the middle of nowhere?
Oh, it was incredible. That's one of the reasons that I wanted to film out in a cabin in the middle of nowhere, is because I wanted the crew and the team and everyone to really get to know each other and want to make this film. Because if you have a crew that, you know, isn't into it, it's going to reflect on the whole thing. So if no one's able to be on their phones, no one's able to do anything except for 100% focus on the film, that was my goal with being out there. And so yes, we had a fantastic time the entire time. Very long nights. No one got any sleep really for the whole 5-day shoot, but no one would ever forget it. It was just incredible. Lifelong friends.
So where are you at now with Black Fathoms?
So right now, Black Fathoms is running through the festival circuits. It's submitted to around 30 different film festivals all over the U.S. and just patiently waiting to see if it's gotten accepted or rejected by different festivals, but it's kind of just in that waiting period right now.
Okay, so do you have any other films that you're working on? What's next for you?
Yes. So over the summer, I shot another short film, and we are in the stages of almost wrapping up post-production, and I'm hoping to have a final cut of it ready to view by October.
Ready to view by October.
I hope.
We're definitely looking forward to that. So one last question. So when it comes to Black Fathoms, what did you take away from it overall? Like from the process of actually filming it to actually having it in the film circuit?
So with Black Fathoms, it being my first real short film, it was a very just incredible experience that I will never forget. It taught me so much about how the entire process works, how to manage and direct a crew and actors, and how to really put an entire short film together, and how just incredible of an experience it is to fully express yourself through film. It was just, can't even have no words for it. It was beautiful.
Well, Madeline, I'd like to thank you for sitting down with us and discussing your filmmaking endeavors.
Thank you.
We hope to hear great things from you in the very near and dear future. So after a quick commercial break, we'll jump to our crime segment and tell you what's been happening around the world.
Listen, you're my friend.
I noticed you haven't really been yourself recently.
Yeah, I feel like something's up.
How are you?
Are you okay?
Is there anything you want to talk about?
I just want to know how you're feeling.
And listen, even if you don't know what to say, I'm here to talk.
No matter what you're going through,
I just want you to know I'm here.
I've got your back. When you want to talk, I'm here.
So there you are, shuffling through a stack of resumes and you come to mine. This is it, first impression, my way in. But can my resume show you how I truly stand out? Like that I was studying, going to night school while working 2 jobs just to help my parents pay for groceries. Or being the first one to always step up. No, that's something you just can't put on paper. Look beyond the resume and discover new ways to develop great talent that is dedicated, hardworking, and determined like me.
I'm one unlucky guy. The chance of being involved in a robbery is 1 in 757. The chances of being struck by lightning 1 in 750,000.
Please fasten your seatbelts for unexpected turbulence.
The chances of being a victim in an airline crash 1 in 29 million. Hey, could I get some peanuts? The chances of being involved in a car crash are far greater than lightning strikes and plane crashes. And if you are texting while driving, your risk of crash increases 23 times. Now, I may be an unlucky guy, but I don't have to be part of that statistic, and neither do you. Drive responsibly.
Are you struggling with money? Do you need your taxes done? Well, come on down to Tax Junkie.
Tax Junkie!
Hi, I'm DQ with Tax Junkie. We offer a friendly face and easy to understand service. You don't even need your W-2s, just your latest check stub, and we'll take it from there.
Tax Junkie!
Junkie!
Last year, we
Junkie!
kept over 40 people from
Junkie!
relapsing into debt.
Next up, a startling story out of Memphis, Tennessee about a man that has been arrested for the killing of his partner and child.
25-year-old Enoch Zarseno sits in a jail cell tonight on no bond, charged with murdering his own 4-month-old son and the child's mother. Zarseno's neighbor, who admits he's only known him a few months, described him as a good guy.
It's a heartbreaking thing. I really wouldn't think that he would be the type of person who'd do that.
A family spokesperson says Heather Cook's sister and a family friend went to her house on Bennington Circle after not hearing from her yesterday, finding the bodies and the house filled with smoke. Court records show both Cook and her son Bentley were stabbed repeatedly. Investigators say a license plate reader spotted Zarseno's car near Cook's home around 3 in the morning. When police found him, they say he kept changing his story, but admitted to being parked outside the home and going in through a back window, telling officers he found Cook and their son dead and took off without calling police. Family says Zarseno and Cook had recently been in an argument over child support.
If he didn't want to pay the child support, he shouldn't have laid down and made the baby.
Just 2 weeks ago, Cook posted to a private Facebook group for single moms asking for advice, saying she and Zarseno had just begun seeing each other when she got pregnant, and he was already in a 6-year relationship with someone else. She wrote Zarseno asked her to, quote, remedy the situation, offering to pay for an abortion, and that she hadn't heard from him until she filed for child support last month.
People are capable of anything. You never know. But it's just sad that someone, is that heartless.
No one answered at Zarseno's home when we stopped by today for comment. Nina Harrelson, WREG, News Channel 3.
A mother has filed a lawsuit against the Orange County School District in California after her son was tragically killed in a golf cart accident.
Siempre era su palabra que me decía mami, I love you. I love you, mami.
Mother, I love you.
Through an interpreter, Michaela Corona talked about the special bond she had with her 15-year-old son, Emmanuel Perez. Everybody called him Manny.
Tú siempre me cuidas.
You take good care of me.
Tú siempre juegas conmigo.
You always play with me.
Te quiero mucho.
I love you very much.
Por eso eres mi mamita.
That's why you're my mother.
She talked about the conversations the two always had, especially at night, at bedtime, where her son would always tell her, I love you, Mommy. Today, fighting back tears, she talked about the terrible loss she feels. Her son, killed at El Medina High School when he took a golf cart and slammed into a metal railing right near the lunch area.
Yo para mí, primero era la seguridad de mi hijo.
My priority was his safety at all times.
Manny had autism. At age 15, he had the mental capacity of a 5 to an 8-year-old, and his mother explained that she constantly worried about his safety, not necessarily that harm would come to him, but just because of what he had to go through. She always worried about him. The school district said Manny was under constant supervision. An adult never left his side, and everything that happened that day is on security video from the school grounds. Someone who has seen the video described it to me this way. 2 adults are walking with Manny across the campus. There's an empty golf cart, and Manny sits down in the golf cart behind the wheel. There is a no-touch policy in the district, so neither one of those adults could grab Manny and take him out of the golf cart. Manny then steps on the pedal, and he takes off. Now, according to the man who's seen the video, part of it is blocked. There's a block wall, so you do not see the impact. Manny ran into a steel barrier, much like this one, near the cafeteria area, only it was flat. It was just high enough to go over the front of the cart and hit him in the chest, much like here. You see on the video the top of the golf cart come to a sudden stop, but not the crash. Manny died that night in a hospital, internal injuries, and now his mom wants some answers. That's why she's filed a claim that will lead to an eventual lawsuit.
And finally, our last story of the night, the shocking conclusion of the trial of Brooke Skylar Richardson, a former cheerleader who prosecutors allege killed and buried her unwanted newborn just days after her high school prom.
2 years, 4 months, 1 week. In case you were wondering, that's how old my granddaughter would be if she were here today.
Tracy Johnson, the grandmother we haven't seen or heard from until today.
And as hard as I've tried to find the right word to describe, broken, shattered, destroyed, none of them seem to fit the amount of pain I have felt ever since we found out that not only did I lose my first grandchild, but my baby, that I would lay down my life for without a thought, lost his first child, and Skylar had no intention of ever letting us know.
Johnson made it clear during sentencing she and her family are just as much a part of baby Annabelle as the Richardsons are.
I would have taken her in with Trey and raised her with no questions asked. You could have gone on to UC and never looked back if that's what she wanted. Every May 7th, I don't get to have a birthday party for my first grandchild. Instead, I get to send her balloons to heaven with notes telling her how much her daddy loves her, how much I love her, how much we all love her.
She expressed sadness and anger.
Skylar knew and didn't tell Trey. She's known from the very beginning it was his.
After listening to Johnson, Skylar, in her statement, briefly turned to her and apologized.
And I just wanted to say how sorry I was. I can sometimes be selfish, but I would like to think that I've become better in the knowledge that I've upset everyone and hurt so many people with what I've done. And I'm forever sorry, and I'm so sorry. I'm really, really sorry.
The jury acquitted Richardson on the charges connected to Annabelle's death. But Judge Don Oda says Richardson is still to blame.
I firmly believe, Miss Richardson, in fact, I know in my heart that if you would have made different decisions in this case, Annabelle would be here today.
As we live with our grief and loss, she can now live knowing that her selfish decision was not her only choice.
Truly a terrible tragedy indeed. All right, that's all the time we have. Thanks for tuning in, folks. We'll see you next time on UALR Livewire.